Most videos I make because I want to make them, right? I'm just the person that sits down and talks about random stuff that I think is interesting in the world of football, soccer, sports in general, especially with the Olympics that were just happening. Every once in a while, I'll make a video kind of as a public service. Not that I have some amazing, unbelievable public service to offer outside of the fact that I do know how to read, contrary to popular opinion. But I feel like it's important when there are really heavy topics at play to deal with the facts and try and understand what is happening. Because as easy as it is to paint every footballer that's been accused of sexual misconduct, usually rape, sexual assault, whatever, with the same brush, the details of each encounter are very different. And as we have learned in the age of clout, right, it is possible always for what is not written in fact to be true or not true, right? There's some things that are indisputable, like pictures and videos from Mason Greenwood's situation. Those exist. Those are real. You can see those and, just go, well, in no context is that okay, right? But in a situation like Achraf Hakimi's, caution is important because, just off the top, sexual assault and rape is a really serious problem, and it is a really serious thing. It should be taken seriously. It should. It just should, right? But once those things kind of get thrown into the headline, everybody just loses everything else below the headline. And in Achraf Hakimi's case, there is no actual physical evidence that I've been able to find in any verified news report. But there is enough apparent circumstantial evidence to at least go to trial. We have now made, so like factually what is happening, if you've seen, the headlines, is they were in a fact gathering phase or whatever. They have now decided that this will go to trial. There will be a trial in a criminal court about Achraf Hakimi raping one woman, right? And the situation is as follows. From everything that I can discern, right, and I've translated a couple of French articles, figure that's where I'm going to get the best stuff. From everything that I can discern, there are some, at least according to the legal team of Achraf Hakimi, some loopholes in what's happened here. I'll get to those in a second, but what happened is that it was an Instagram situation. I feel like this is pretty common. It's not even just common for like professional athletes or, famous people or stars. I think it's pretty common. I've had friends that just messaged random people on Instagram that were maybe a mutual of somebody or they happened to see and they ended up going on dates with them, right? This is a pretty common method of interaction. If you're a little older, it might sound super foreign, but if you're in my generation or younger, it is a pretty modus operandi, right? It's a way that things work. So she met Hakimi in January 2023 on Instagram. That was the start of this. And then he pulled a move that I would say is also pretty common in my generation and younger generations. He basically called her a taxi. I'm sure that, at least, I don't know exactly how this works, but if you're following like a normal trajectory here, he slides into the DMs, she slides into the DMs, they get to talking, they start flirting, and he just sends a taxi like, hey, come over, winky face, right? That's based off the accounts of like the facts of what happened leading up to this, what it seems like happened. So he orders a taxi and she goes over to his house. A police source has reported. She then claimed that the player kissed her, touched her without her consent, and then raped her once she had gotten over there. I don't know if there was anybody else there. I don't know. Right? It's not been listed in any of the reports I've been able to find. She says she managed to push him away and text a friend who came to pick her up. Right? Okay, so now those are the facts. Like those are what we have. That he came on to her, touched her inappropriately, according to her, came on to her, touched her inappropriately, raped her. She was able to push him away, text a friend who then came to pick her up. I would imagine the friend is going to be involved in the trial, being like, I was there. I came and picked her up. And obviously, she was distressed at something happening. I'm assuming it's very easy for the police to confirm that person did actually go and did actually pick her up. And so they were probably able to confirm that if we get to the point that this is going to trial. So clearly something was happening in that house that she did not want to be happening. My concern about this situation is that I am afraid, given all of the facts that we know, that this will be a he said, she said, and we'll never actually know for sure. And those, obviously, I have a kind of completionist brain. I'm the person, if I start something, I really want to finish it. I 100% video games religiously. That bothers me, right? That really, like, I hope that the truth comes out. And I hope that there's more of an ability to figure out what that truth is. Now, depending on who you ask, that's going to be pretty obvious. That person is not Luis Enrique, the coach. He said this matters in the hands of the authorities, and the club is just not really addressing it at all. The plaintiff's lawyer, Rachel Flor Pardo, said her client was relieved to hear the case was going to court. She said the judiciary has been exemplary in handling the case, but its treatment in general showed there are still areas where the Me Too movement has not yet breached the sound barrier, chiefly in men's football. Now, of course, the response from Hakimi's team is, going to be different. And what they've said is, today, a rape accusation is enough to justify a trial, even though I contest it and prove everything is false. That's actually what Hakimi said. He said, I await this trial calmly, which will allow the truth to come out publicly. His lawyer said a trial had been ordered on the basis of an accusation that rests solely on the word of a woman who obstructed all investigations. She refused all medical examinations and DNA tests, refused to allow her mobile phone to be examined, and refused to give the name of a key witness. So obviously, if that's true, then I don't know how he gets convicted, to be honest. Like, I feel like we'll just figure out if that's true over time, because I don't have an intimate understanding of the French legal proceedings here, but I don't see how you'd be able to convict somebody if the person that is making the accusations not giving up the name of a key witness. At least I can't come up with my mind of like why you would want to do that. Maybe you're trying to protect their identity. You don't want them to get dragged into it or something, but not allowing your mobile phone to be examined. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of reasons that you wouldn't want to do that, because it's entirely possible there's a lot of flirtatious messages, but those flirtatious messages were before you went over there. And once you went over there, Hakimi was he was terrible, but obviously if you're, I feel like you would be able to explain that. I don't know. You can talk yourself in circles with this, but sorry. The reason that I think it's important to make videos like this is because even though everybody's always afraid to talk about this, I'm always afraid to talk about this because, I care about people. I don't want to accidentally hurt somebody with the things that I'm saying. I like the community we've got around these videos. I think you're all, generally speaking, great people, except for the people that, say I'm never funny. I am at least funny some of the time. Sorry, I'm going to get all worked up. But it's important for us to have these conversations, I think, as a society, so that we, objectivity doesn't die in or objectivity dies in silence, I guess, right? To be able to actually address this kind of for what it is, which I think is gonna be, I hope that there's a security camera somewhere, or there was a gardener there, or whatever. I hope that we're able to get a definitive answer to this question. But I think herein lies the way, and I'm not saying which one Hakimi is, the way that powerful men are able to get away with this sort of thing, if you do it. Like, if you are somebody that wants to push the boundaries of consent, like, clearly this wasn't a, Bill Cosby situation, or like an incredibly violent situation, because she was able to text her friend and then kind of get in the car. Like, he wasn't Bill Cosby, whew, just launching something into her drink from across the room, screaming Kobe. But also, it is entirely possible for there to be a full, sexual assault and rape that occurs that you are then able to text your friend and kind of get picked up from after, right? I'm not going to pretend like that's not also possible. So back to the point that I was making is, this is the type of situation when you're really famous and really powerful, as Achraf Hakimi is. Right, he's, the talisman captain of, this top 20 footballing country. He plays for one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is an incredibly wealthy, powerful guy. It's how they're able to get away with it. If you're alone, then it's he said, she said, and we don't know this girl's name. We all know who Achraf Hakimi is, and he has a lot of fans and a lot of supporters who won't want to believe this, even if it's true. But then on the flip side of that, there is also the possibility and the real danger of if somebody like that is alone with a woman, maybe a woman they don't know that well, somebody they've been flirting with on Instagram, for example, that person can then turn it into a he said, she said about whatever happened. And there's no way for you to kind of vindicate yourself either. Because there doesn't seem to be anything damning in all the reports that are out right now that's like a slam dunk conviction here, like the sort of stuff that was coming out about Danny Alves when he was, headed to prison. But it's just a gray mark. Even if it's totally not true, even if this was like a completely consensual interaction and she's just sending it with, I'm going to try and make something happen, which again, totally possible that's not true. I have to keep qualifying everything just so people know, what I'm trying to do here. It's a black mark on his name. And maybe she gets some money out of it, and I don't know. Like both of those worlds are possible, or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Right, there's more details that have come out about this that kind of complicate it even more. And what's that something in the middle? Well, it's from this article from West France here that it emphasized the attorney for Achraf Hakimi emphasized that the victim in this case that she attempted to conceal from the judicial authorities several messages exchanged with one of her friends planning to rob Mr. Hakimi. Now, as somebody that jokes about insane things all the time, it's entirely possible that she was going over to just hook up with Achraf Hakimi and she was joking with one of her friends like, oh, I should rob him, right? Or it's possible that she was actually going over there to maybe like try to rob him and then got sexually assaulted. Like there's so many different realms this could be in. And unfortunately, given what we seem to know so far, I don't think we're ever really going to know. And I hope that the court is able to find out what the truth is so that the law can be appropriately applied in this case. But I think it's going to be a tricky court case where I think whichever way it goes, based off which I know right now, there's always going to be some kind of gray wiggle room in it. But the fact that it's going to trial is a big deal. And being on trial for raping somebody is a big deal. And I would imagine, if he is convicted, that would he would go to jail. I don't know how the law works again in France, but I would imagine he would go to jail. So it's something that's worth keeping an eye on because again, that would affect World Cup, that would affect, qualifying AFCON, it would affect PSG. This is a guy that is worth 100 million dollars on the open market, whose value could get shot to zero if this case goes the other way. I hope what's true comes out, but that's the situation around Hakimi. That's basically everything we seem to know right now. And it's a sad situation. Literally any way you slice it, it's a sad situation.